What's up, everyone, and welcome into another episode of Wizards Latest. I'm your host and DC sports fan, Ben Robertson, and on this page, we break down all the biggest headlines surrounding the Washington Wizards. So today, I want to talk about the trade news that came out over the weekend, why I think the Wizards are excited about the potential of Cam Whitmore, why this matters for the young core already in place here in DC, and lastly, how this trade is just another way that shows this front office strategy actually works and we are on the right path. So, as always, like and subscribe down below. Drop any comments you might have. I would love to hear your thoughts on maybe your expectations for Cam Whitmore. And as always, I appreciate all the support, and let's jump right in. So, over the weekend, it came out that the Wizards have added Cam Whitmore from Houston. The Maryland native comes back to the area, and the Wizards only had to send 2 second-round picks to Houston to acquire Cam. The trade will actually be worked into the Jordan Poole deal and will become a three-team trade with Washington, Houston, and New Orleans. So, Whitmore, of course, coming here more than likely puts to bed any Jonathan Kuminga rumors that we discussed last week, whether you were buying those really or not. And Whitmore is also 2 years younger than Kuminga and going to be much cheaper at this stage. Washington now has 9 first-round players on the roster from the last 3 drafts, and Whitmore and Houston, seemed to part on pretty good terms. He really just couldn't find a role there with their resurgent last couple of seasons, and they wanted to send him to a place that he could thrive. And it was reported actually turned down other offers to send him here to Washington. Of course, Houston now recently adding Kevin Durant as well to sort of add to the stockpile in front of him as he tried to get playing time there. But as Whitmore comes here to DC, a former McDonald's All-American, former Big East Freshman of the Year in his lone season at Villanova, stands 6'7", 230 pounds, and despite limited minutes and limited time in his first couple seasons, is a player that a lot of fans and scouts still feel like there is a ton of potential and a ton of upside there. His numbers from his first 2 years: 10.8 points per game, 3.5 rebounds, and about 17 minutes per night. Only played 97 games over his first 2 seasons in Houston. One of the stats that, maybe sneaks in there, he was one of the league leaders in points per touch in those couple of years. So even though he was getting limited action and limited time, when he did get the basketball, he was very productive. And again, that's one of the reasons why a lot of people still feel like there is so much upside for Cam Whitmore. If you remember, he was in his draft looked like as a potential top 5 or top 10 pick, ended up falling down in the draft to number 20. There was sort of a weird mix of maybe medical issues and maybe a poor pre-draft process. It was kind of a weird, kind of vague slide, to be quite honest. It was looked at the time as Houston to be a great grab with that 20th overall pick. And again, just all of these factors, just sort of the raw athleticism combined with some smooth scoring ability, is one of the reasons why, for the price that Will Dawkins sent to Houston, it's pretty exciting that you're able to bring back Cam Whitmore. And again, just adds to the pile of young players and young talent that is already here in DC. I said it before in the video, but now 9 first-round picks on this roster from the last 3 years. Will Dawkins continues just to turn the roster over since he's gotten here and stack it with just young talent and young player after young player. The thing is, when you look at sort of the core right now, we've talked about how at the wing position, of course, there's sort of a logjam already. There's a bunch of guys here already that you could sort of say the same things as Cam Whitmore. You look at them, and there's a bunch of talent right there and a bunch of potential. And again, upside, those buzzwords we use, but you have to turn it to actual on court production, especially now that you're headed into year 3. And I think the Whitmore trade here, signals to a lot of those young guys, whether it's Bilal Coulibaly, AJ Johnson, even if it's a guy like Will Riley who just got drafted. Hey, there's a lot of competition right now, and we're going to find out who the best of the best is, and who's going to be our core moving forward. Again, this is such a pivotal year for so many of these young players and so in our franchise finding out what they are, and Whitmore just adds a little bit of interest into that mix. So, last thing I want to talk about today is how Will Dawkins just once again shows that he is cooking and his strategy works. It is moving us in the right direction. And again, why myself and so many of you guys are believers in him and what he has done. And again, just his philosophy that he's brought here from OKC. Everyone wonders what the point of adding so many second round picks. Are they really that valuable? What can they do for you? This is. You can go out and get a player like Cam Whitmore, who, again, you're not sure what he's maybe going to turn into, what his final product is, but there's a ton of potential there, and all you had to give up was 2 second-round picks, not a player, not a first rounder. That's what having all those second rounders in your back pocket does for you. You also think about a team like the Rockets, who were in the depths of the league not too long ago, and if you think about how they've rebuilt themselves and then this past year got back into the playoffs. Well, it was a mix of young talent, massive cap flexibility, and then trade assets now to add Kevin Durant. Those, kind of ring any bells and things we have talked about here over the last couple of weeks. Those are exactly the three things that Will Dawkins is sort of trying to accumulate here in DC. So again, maybe if it's next offseason when you have $100 million in cap space, there is a ton of flexibility. And then you have all these young players that you're really excited about, and maybe other teams in the league like and might want to trade for as well. And if not, you have a young group that's building and learning and growing together. So, as always, you got to stay patient. It's coming. I'm not sure if it's this year. We talk all the time about, the potential of that top 8 pick in the next year's draft. But Will Dawkins, again, has brought a great plan here to DC. It's starting to work. It's starting to move in the right direction. So just hang in there. We will keep you posted right here on Wizards Latest with all the moves that he makes, anything else that might be coming up this summer. Of course, Summer League right around the corner gets started July 11th. We'll get a chance to see, players like Trey Johnson for the first time in a Wizards uniform. I'll keep you posted on everything here on Wizards Latest, dropping videos daily. Make sure you like and subscribe, and thanks for watching another episode of Wizards Latest.